Okay, let's talk. This video, similar to my last video, is very difficult to make, although for different reasons. If you are new to this channel, hi, my name is Blaire. I have several prevailing themes and purposes for this channel. The first is trans issues and discussing them because I am trans, and the second is calling out predators online, predatory behavior online, the sexualization of children, and just basically calling all that stuff out. So you can imagine, if you know my history, which is a history of having a friendship with Shane Dawson and doing videos with Shane Dawson, that a lot of very conflicting emotions arose once a lot of very disturbing clips started coming out online about Shane, by Shane, just old content, old jokes, old commentary about kids and preying on kids, and just some very questionable stuff.
Wait, Lucy, let's get real.
That's so embarrassing.
We want to know. We have a question.
What is it? Very important question. And you don't need to feel shy about it.
No, you really...
It's natural.
It's natural. Is there anybody around? No? So we want to talk to you. We want to explain what sex is to you. We did get really quiet.
Oh, where's the other peep? We should probably explain.
We'll just use peeps.
Lucy, this happens.
See, oh.
And then you're so happy when you're an adult. I can't believe I'm endorsing this. Look what you've turned me into.
So Lucy, does that make sense?
So, you know, I have a history of speaking on this kind of stuff, but if you would have told me a month ago that the subject of one of these videos would have been Shane, I would have never believed you. I would have bet my entire bank account that that would not be true. But here we are. I do have very conflicted feelings on this, and part of that is, I don't want to say clouded, but I guess clouded by my own history with this person. And so it makes the whole thing difficult. But I've seen you guys' comments. I've read you guys' DMs. I've seen you guys ask, so are you going to keep the same energy for Shane as you did for Onision, Jessica Yaniv, Peaches, all these people? And the difficult answer is, yes, I am going to keep that same energy and I am going to be consistent here, but the real answer is I don't want to. To remain consistent with both my morals and the integrity and purpose of this channel, I do have to talk about this, so I'm going to. I think that there is a very important, nuanced conversation that I'd like to have in this video that will be helpful for parents, survivors, kids. And if you're none of those things, I think the conversation that I intend to have in this video could potentially allow you and help you to better support those people. So let's talk. So some of these clips of Shane include questionable statements about pedophilia.
You guys have nightmares? What are they about? Mine are always about somebody breaking into my house and taking my computer. But then it always scares me because I'm like, if somebody stole my computer, you know how much blackmail they would have on me? I mean, the fact that I haven't been on To Catch a Predator yet is like a miracle.
Include questionable humor involving kids, specifically one with Willow Smith, which I will play right now.
Oh, I'll whip your hair back and forth. Oh.
There is a conversation to be had, first of all, about how the internet and humor and culture was very different at the time this clip was created. However, the Smith family is disgusted and offended by this, so I don't really see how anyone else can really excuse it if the family of the girl involved can't excuse it. So that's one thing. When there's one or two jokes, okay. When there's like 30, 40 different statements and jokes, because again, some of them didn't sound like jokes to me, involving kids and the predation of kids, like, it starts to paint a picture. And I think that picture is further painted by some information that maybe not everyone's aware of, which is that Shane Dawson claims that he was victimized as a child himself. So this leads me into a discussion about how this type of thing is a cycle. And this type of thing, when it happens to you as a child, can, and sometimes statistically does, repeat itself. And people who were once victims become offenders. And I want to be very clear as well that I am not making any sort of accusation or statement that Shane has, as an adult, hurt anyone. However, There is a clip that is not being circulated a lot online that I think is very important and is a piece of this picture that is missing, and I'm going to play it right now.
I also would molest kids on my street, but I would molest kids on my street. And that's another thing that they say that kids who are sexually abused do. Like I would like make kids on my street like take their pants off and I'd spank them or like do weird shit to them. And it didn't feel weird at the time, but looking back, I'm like, ew. I was like molesting kids. I was a kid too.
Were they your peers?
Yeah, I was probably 8 and they were 7 or something.
Right.
And I apologized to them. I found them on Facebook. I'm like,
You
sorry
did?
for molesting you.
Did
And
they
they're
remember?
They're like, one of them did. One of them was like, yeah, that's why my family made me stop hanging out with you. And I'm like, oops.
So what you heard there was Shane admitting to violating others when he was also a kid as a result of what happened to him. Not the same thing as doing so as an adult. However, there is something a bit disturbing to me in the way that it was brought up and talked about, which was both nonchalant and in a humorous way. And while humor can be a coping mechanism, it's also very important to be aware that when you do that on a public stage, it is a bit irresponsible in my opinion. And what I think, as a result of seeing all these clips, all these statements, all these tweets, all these jokes out of Shane, what I think is that it paints a picture of someone who has not properly addressed the trauma they experienced. And that is something that I think, if the only takeaway from this video is that when you experience something like that, it is so vital to seek help. Because what we know statistically is, like I said, this type of thing can be a cycle. And while I think that there is a whole separate set of consequences and conversation to be had when it comes to whether or not Shane hurt someone as an adult or hurt someone as a child, I think those are two very different things. And as of now, there is absolutely no evidence that Shane has actually hurt someone as an adult, other than feelings, whether it be Willow Smith and the Smith family, which I'm totally not invalidating. However, we do have this admission by Shane that he hurt others while he was a kid. This is why, if your child goes through something like this, you have to seek therapy. You have to seek help. What I can only assume is that if Shane did seek the help from when he was hurt, it wasn't sufficient, because I do think, and this is not excusing any of the behavior by Shane, because I condemn it wholeheartedly. I think it's disgusting, a lot of the stuff he's put online in regards to kids and just jokes that, again, humor is humor. Sometimes you do cross a line. And when you cross that line just like dozens and dozens of times, it paints a picture. But I'm just trying to say that clearly these comments and these jokes stem from somewhere, and that is that trauma. And I think that paints a better understanding of what you're seeing coming out about Shane Dawson. One of the things that definitely made me realize this was an important video to do is when all these things started coming out about Shane, I had a very real conversation with my fiance, and he asked me, Blaire, give me an honest answer. Do you think Shane Dawson is a pedophile? My reaction was, I don't think so. And the fact that I wasn't able to confidently state, hell no, of course not. Like, why are you even asking me that? Is a problem. Whether that's a problem of him really being capable of hurting someone, I'm not in a position to say that, and I would hope to God that is not the case. But it clearly is a problem enough to where this trauma keeps coming out, and he keeps putting it out into the world. And if he puts it out into the world as much as he does, it makes me question how much of that same energy he puts out in private, if that makes sense. And I'm really not trying to make any accusations because, like I said, and I will fully admit that I have a bias here as someone who has a history with him, I want to, and I hope to God that is not the case, but I can't confidently say either way. So that has to be what I say about it. And I really don't want to throw dirt on someone who's already down. I don't want to try to convince anyone to not support someone or take part in cancel culture, but I also don't want to pass up this opportunity to have the very important conversation of how these things become cycles. And when you're victimized in this way as a child, it's almost like contagious. Like these things sometimes are generational and happen in families over and over and over again. That's why it's so important to stop the cycle and seek the proper help when it happens to you or when it happens to someone in your family. This is also by no means trying to paint Shane as a victim, for the actions and the choices he made as an adult, because there's no excusing a lot of the stuff. There's just none. And you guys can be the judge of that for yourself. Like, I'm not here to put every clip here in this video, okay? It's gone viral. It's everywhere. You can find whatever you want to find. And at the end of the day, Shane was a grown man when he did these things. So I'm not here to make excuses for anyone. I don't really know if Shane can come back from this. I know Target pulled his books and Morphe pulled his makeup, and, I don't know about that aspect of it. But I do know that I hope that, I have no control over the rest of the internet, but I hope within my own channel and within my own amazing community that I have here, which is you guys, that we can use this as a jump off to have that really important conversation about getting help and about, stopping the cycle. I'm a little flustered, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was itching. I'm not crying. I'm just, see how nervous I am? I'm like, damn, I don't want to be perceived in any kind of wrong way here, but it's just such a dark moment.